Hello and welcome to our short overview presentation on font and color usage for the web. It's very basic because we have people from all experience levels in this class. This presentation is intended to be 10 to 15 minutes long and is mostly a test of the big blue button system to see how well it works for us. Okay, let's get started. We're going to start with some basics. Here we have the good old basic standards for color usage: boring, old-fashioned, and still being adhered to by high-profile sites all over the world. Why? Accessibility, familiarity. The less the end user has to think about what they are doing, the longer they will stay and read. However, it's boring, and that may not keep users on your site if your content isn't primarily text, research, or anything else that works well with the classic old-style text standards. The general consensus now is to follow a few simple rules that still allow design freedom. Links need to be distinct from text. If it is underlined, it ought to be a link. It's also good to have them be a different color. Active or hovered links should also have a distinctive look so the user knows they are about to click on a link. There are all kinds of options available in CSS for the designer to use. Visited links should also stand out from both unvisited links and regular text, but don't make them low contrast. It's pretty simple to follow those rules. For more information, search friendlywebdesign.com, changing the color of your visited links. Contrast is key. Body text is a boring design element, but it's also what the user is there for. Contrast is really important to reading and being able to use a website, especially in body text, which is often seen as a bland gray area in an overall design. That bland gray area is the content, though, and it needs to be usable or your design work is wasted on the user. Low contrast, moderate contrast, good contrast. Text styles and fonts in body text. This slide shows two examples of the same text. One is very simple, one type style, main heading bolded and larger, subheading italicized, and the other more varied. Which one is easier to read? Do you think there is a middle ground that would emphasize the meaning without sacrificing ease of reading? This is basically body text and a couple of headings, so I've stuck with the most basic type styles available. The differences are still kind of glaring in this slide. Again, we have the simpler and more complex text formatting. The first is actually done with two fonts, Verdana and the sans serif body text. It's a good example of a middle ground between the first and second examples on the previous slide. The second is formatted to help demonstrate that different typefaces have different visual impacts. Each block is one typeface in bold and then regular. The different type and strength of the paragraphs make them look unrelated, though the same typeface in different strengths simply conveys emphasis. Emphasis can be good, but it is obviously jarring if used too much. For logos and display type titles, web fonts are coming into use and replacing fonts and images. CSS at FontFace now supports web fonts, and a great resource for those is fontsquirrel.com. A company that licenses fonts for at FontFace use is fontspring.com. FontSpring, FontSquirrel. Web fonts are fantastic. As a designer, I cannot wait for them to be universally supported and to become a standard. They will render graphics as text irrelevant and make the web design process more equivalent to the print design process. That said, web fonts are intended for display text. Some are suitable for body text, but the vast majority are intended for display type purposes: titles, logos, and advertisements. While it wouldn't be unpleasant to read a site or document set in this type, Kaluna at FontSquirrel, imagine an entire website typeset in this font, Affable at FontSpring, or this one, Quick and Jerk at FontSquirrel, or any of these. All of these are clearly display types and would be difficult to read as body text. Colors have feelings too. Let's take a look at this slide and think about what these rectangles each communicate to you via their colors. An in-depth article on color and how it influences the user can be found at adicotweb.com, Color in Web Design, Color Symbolism. Did the colors give you an idea of what the symbols on this slide might be? How different was your impression? Color can be influential to your user's mood, whether it is in the overall palette, the background, color cast in photographs, or color palette in just a few graphics. It's best to pick colors that work well together, of course, as well as selecting colors that feel right for the purpose of the design. Red communicates power, or stress, or danger, or passion. Pink or light red is love, sexuality, friendship, kindness. Dark blue is stability, knowledge, reliability, power. Light blue is calm, tranquility, meditation. Aqua, protection, healing, comfort. Lavender, meditation, quietness. Orange is warmth, health, good food. Gold is success, wisdom, wealth. Green is money, finance, or even greed. Yellow is joy or excitement. There are a number of useful color scheming tools online. DailyColorScheme.com, ColorCombos.com, Cooler@Adobe.com, ColorSchemeDesigner.com, which is my favorite, ColorSchemer.com, and many more. Next slide. Fonts and colors work together. These next three slides on white, medium gray, and black backgrounds have sample text in 4 typefaces: sans serif, usually called Arial, serif text, usually Times, typewriter, Courier, and book, Georgia. The sample text is shown in a range of colors from the Google Docs text color picker. The first column is very pale colors, or the base 8 color rainbow, brightest luminance. The second column is grayscale from white to black. The third column is the base 8 color rainbow, middle luminance, or unmodified colors. Fourth column is the base 8 color rainbow, the darkest luminance available. All the text is the same on the 3 slides. The only difference is the background color. What I am demonstrating with this rather jarring display is that the fonts and colors chosen can improve or worsen the ease of reading of text. Notice that some text is easier to read in different fonts in the same color sample. Some text is invisible because the contrast is too low. Some text vibrates because the degree of contrast is difficult for the eye to parse. On a white background, yellow or cyan are very difficult to read, even though they otherwise would seem to have good contrast. On a gray background, red on a medium gray or pink on medium gray are very difficult to read. They strain the eyes. And on a black background, purple or pink on black are very difficult to read. More examples of vibrating color combinations can be found at webstandards.psu.edu, Accessibility Tech Color Vibrate. Putting it all together, these last 4 slides give examples of how simple color changes and choices of fonts can completely change the mood of a site. This first one is sort of warm, bookish. The second one, feminine or romantic. The third one, student, kind of engineering feeling. And the last one, sort of an homage to old-style computer displays, black background with yellow, green, orange, and white text. The link in the text is to CSS Zen Garden, which is a wonderful place to go and play with how CSS can handle and change a simple site. Without graphics, even choosing and using text fonts, display fonts, colors, and layouts can make a site with few or no images work and even pop. And that's the end of our presentation. Thank you.